And we're now here on Daf Chaf Amid Beis. With Neymar Banecha Yefeifim B'Yoser Banayach. Why are they healthy without any mum? Amr Lahem. And Ima Shalom responded, Eino Mesaper Imi. Now here the emphasis is on the Baal, that he doesn't speak to me during intimacy. Now, the word Mesaper here is a little bit tricky. The Ritva points out that Mesaper is a kinui. It's not to be translated literally, but it is an allusion to Tashmish HaMita. So Eino Mesaper means Eino Meshamesh Imi, Lo B'tchilas HaLayla. And all this has to do with something that's going to come up over and over again in this Agadata here in Chaf Amid Beis, that it's really terrible if a man is having a relationship with his wife and he's thinking about another woman. And at the beginning of the night, that's when the women are available, they're out there in the shuk, and maybe he'll have das, he'll think about one of these women. And not the sofa, because that's when the women are already waking up from a night's sleep, and they're out there in the market, they go to the supermarket, and he might be thinking about another woman. In the middle of the night, the women are not out there, so he's focused on his wife. He doesn't think about another woman. Honestly, I don't understand this so well. That the Gemara has to be Meshabeach, someone who guarantees that he won't think about another woman, like as if, having tashmish with you, you're thinking, I don't know. It doesn't seem to make sense to me, but Shumesaper, and while he's having relationship, Megala Tefach Mechase Tefach, V'domolov Kamishik Fo Shei. So again, all this that we're looking at now is Al Derech Hatznius. We're going to soon see that there's another Derech Al Pi Halacha, according to strict letter of the law. But now we're talking about the Midah of Tznius, and he only uncovers a tefach's worth, and everything else that he can keep covered, he keeps covered. He says the following: when a person urinates, this is based on the Ran, then he has to expose his entire private parts, his genital area. But here, as a midah of tznius, when he's not being matel meraglayim, then he should be mechasa tefach. And he quotes the Rosh here that he should have yira and busha. And kafi shekol shein, in other words, he does what he has to do very quickly, as if he was being forced to do so. He was compelled. Once again, the Ravid in the Bali Nefesh says, "Domalov kamishik fo shein hainuk sha'odom sha'ose dover mi'ones the enom is kaven la no'oso." So again, we're talking about midas hatznius, midas haprishus, and a person should limit the pleasure that he has. We'll see again in a few minutes. If you hold your breath, we're going to see a whole different approach, which is more of a halachic approach. He says, "Oses hamaisa biyira." The Ravid says he does it out of fear, ka'adam hamafached meshed, like a person's afraid of a demon. Shalom iskamin la'noso levad. Now here is a quote from the Ramban, from the famous Igeres HaKodesh of the Ramban, and he writes that he shouldn't have kavanah purely for hana. So as if to say that the hana is secondary, he's fulfilling his chova. Now I don't know what chova we're talking about here. If she is capable of bearing children, I understand, puravu. If she's beyond that age, she's past menopause, then I assume the chova comes under the mitzvah of ona. V'amarti lo, and Ima Sholem says to her husband, Rabbi Eliezer, Ma tam, why do you do it this way? Amar li kadesh lo etenes einai be'isha cheres. Again, I don't chop this, but he's scared, he's shivering. Maybe he's going to think during the intimacy about another woman. And then nimtzu bana baim lidei mamzeris. Now again, we can't take mamzeris literally here. Even if heaven forbid he thinks about another woman during intercourse, the children are not mamzeris, but there's a tzad mamzeris. It's like a reach of mamzeris. Now let's get the Gemara's kasha now. There seems to be a contradiction between two brisos. Because earlier we had a brisa that Mesaper v'shas tashmish bonov nolodim chershin. You know, Ima Sholem is saying that Rabbi Eliezer was Mesaper ima v'tash tashmish, and they had bonim yefefiyah. But it was not b'sofalai, not b'chislai, it was b'chatzoslai. Whereas before we said in the other brisa that if he's mesaper imo b'shas tashmish, that's out, that's not accepted. No bodim, no lodim chayreishim, lo kash. That which Rabbi Eliezer would speak to his wife b'shas tashmish, it's b'milei de tashmish. He's allowed to speak to her to be meratzaha, anything that's enhances the feelings and the romance and so forth and so on. But when Rabbi Yochanan ben Davoy said that not to be mesaper shas tashmish b'mili achronaisa means on distractive thoughts or discussions about something that has nothing to do, it's not l'tzor tashmish. That we're not going to allow. And again, the Ravid in the Bali Nefesh says that from the time that they prepare themselves, they should already be careful not to be speaking about anything else. I don't know. I think that, maybe this should be publicized. Everything that we learned about is a special level of tznius, a higher level of behavior. He's not right al pi halacha. All those chumras that we spoke about, that he's not allowed to talk, he's not allowed this, and so forth and so on. It's all, he shouldn't turn over this way and that way. And the Gemara is going to give us a demonstration about this, that a man can do whatever he wants. And what's the demonstration? You have meat, you can cook it, you can fry it, you can, ratzal melach, you can salt it, ochlo, tzli, roast it, ochlo, fine, mavushal ochlo, sholok. Sholok means he cooks it a lot for a long time. Today they do these searing meats, and they have new different kinds of pots and utensils of heating up meat. There are people who spend their lives on this. They're so focused on how to prepare meat. It's ochlo, it's fine. The fisherman brings fish, and he eats it any way he wants to. Some people like fried fish, some like salted fish, and some like baked fish. And so too, a man with his wife, he does whatever he wants. Upside down, inside out, him on top, and from the rear, everything seems to be okay on a halachic level. And in Shulchan Aruch, by the way, in different parts of Shulchan Aruch, he reflects two different approaches, because one is strict halacha, and there everything is mutter, and then there's tznius, midas tznius. Omar Meir, man malachei ashores. Right, Rabbi Yochanan Dahavi spoke about the malachei ashores. Who are these? Rabbanon, the Talmidei Chachamim. The Tei malachei ashores mamish. You take it literally. These are angels from heaven. Amai Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Why did Rabbi Yochanan say ein halacha? Ki Yochanan ben Dahavi. Halacha is not like him, but rather the Chacham that we quoted earlier, that the Kol Mashal the Rotzelas Mishto Oser. Ha'inu b'ki b'tzuras avlad tvei. We should really defer to the malachim because they are experts in the tzuras havlad. They know what causes movement to the vlad, and they know it more than the chachamim. They have a spaklaria me'ira from up on top. And not only that, they hear up in Shamayim, why, machmas man nolad avlad pogum, why was this vlad born with a defect? And therefore we should pass them like that. But rather, Malachi Ashoris means the Rabbanon. And therefore the Chachamim have a carte blanche of freedom to express a dissenting view. My correlate Malachi Ashoris, the Mitzaine Kimalachi Ashoris. Mitzaine means Mitsuyon. They are different, they are singular, they are muvdalim from all other people like Malachi Ashoris. And once again, this indicates this higher level of tznius and precious. Hahidi asoy lekami the Rebbe. A woman comes in front of Rebbe, v'yomer lo Rebbe. Arachti lo shulchan v'afacho. I was lying in bed and he decided to turn me upside down. Omar Allah, so Rebbe says, Biti Torah iti raseh. Don't worry about this. The Torah allows your husband to have be'ilah in any way that he so chooses. V'ani ma'esalo. So I don't have to do anything for you. I don't need to give you, a recipe for tshuva and kapara. Another story, very similar. A woman comes in front of Rav. It just amazes me that a woman would actually say this in front of a rabbi. Omar lo Rebbe arachti lo shulchan v'afacho. Omar, he said to Rav, my shnam in binse, like a fish. And just like you can make the fish in any way that he likes to eat the fish, prepare it the way he likes it, filleted or fish sticks, whatever he likes, so too he can have be'ilah with you the way he wants. Now the Gemara brings a source for this Issa that we spoke about. You're not allowed to think about another woman while you're involved in intimacy with your own wife. Person should have, it's all metaphor. He shouldn't have be'ilah with one woman while he's thinking about another woman. Even if a man has two wives, he should not think about his other wife when he's having relations with this one, even though they're both mutaras lo. How much more so he shouldn't have a hero and think about another woman who he's not married to. Now the pasuk says in Yechezkel, Uvarosi michem hamordim aposhem bi. Kosh Baruch Hu declares, I will choose from Klal Yisrael and siphon off those who are rebellious and sinful. And who are these? Amar Levi, Elu b'nei tesha midos. These are children who, unfortunately, were a product of a tzad avera. For example, first the Gemara gives a notrikin, a simon, b'nei asnas neshagir. Number one, the al, b'nei ema. A man instills fear on his wife that she should have a relationship with him, intimacy, even though she doesn't want to. B'nei anusa is even worse than that. Not only is she not in the mood, so to speak, but he actually physically rapes her. B'nei snua, he hates his wife. And for sure, he's thinking about another woman. He's not thinking about her because he despises her. B'nei nidu, children that are born to a man who is in nidui and had relations with his wife, which is violation of the Yisur nidui. B'nei tmura, a man who's married to two wives, and he wants to have a relationship with one, and instead he has a relationship with the other one. B'nei mariva, that a man and a woman have a fight, and there was no piyus. They didn't make up with each other, and they had tashmish. B'nei shikrus, he was drunk when he had the ma'aser bia, and he's not really thinking about his wife. I mean, he's just in a different world. But a grushas halev, a man who's already decided he wants to divorce his wife, so he's thinking about a possibility of another wife. He's not thinking about this wife. Again, there are a lot of questions here about why these aren't repetitions. B'nei arbuvia, and this means that a woman who had relations with a number of different men, she doesn't know who's the father of her child. B'nei chatzufa, this is number 9 on the list, is a woman who's meis panel and she demands tashmish. She utters, vocally her desire for tashmish. And he says the Gemara, a woman shouldn't be asking for tashmish. Veha Omar, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani and Rabbi Yonasan kol Adam sheishto tovato havila bonim afilu b'dor shel Moshe Rabbeinu lo yikamosim. If she is tovas tashmish, the children will be even greater than the door of Moshe Rabbeinu. Shenemar, where do we see this? At the beginning of Sefer Dvarim, when Moshe Rabbeinu tells Bnei Yisrael to choose from each shevet the leaders of the nation, Havu lachem anoshim chachamim unevonim. These should be the heads, the leaders of Klal Yisrael. And when he takes them, it says, "Va'ekach es roshi shivteichem anoshim chachamim v'yeduim." And here the word nevonim is omitted. Lo ksiv nevonim. Apparently, he didn't find anyone that would fit that profile of nevonim. Uksiv. Now we're rewinding to Bereshis Memtes. Yisachar chamor goren. The chamor that Yaakov rides on brought about the birth of Yisachar. And what does that mean? The chamor, on its own, so to speak, an own volition, turned towards the oil of Leah instead of the oil of Rachel. And Leah was tovas Yaakov for an intimacy, as the pasuk says, "Vateitze Leah, vatomer Elai tovo, ki sachar schartich." The whole story with the dudoim of Rachel. Uksiven in Divrei Yom it says, "Mibnei Yisachar yodei bina leitim." So that midah bina of Nevonim, which is bina, is typical of Shevet Yisachar. Why is Yisachar Bali Bina? We sing about it even on Chanukah. We don't find the other Shvatim are called Bali Bina. And the answer is because Yaakov, he received the Tviyah from Leah. Leah took the initiative. So you see, there's no deficiency to be Toveh the Baal. And he answers, Ahi, Dimaratia Artsuye. It wasn't that Leah was Tovas Bepeh, that she actually verbalized it, have a relationship with me. But she's Maratza Baila, she says nice things to her husband. This is called Divrei Piyus. Kidesha Tischavev Olam, V'yav Olam. But she's not Tovas Bepeh. Hajan Alecha, Perek V'elu Mutarim. And now we start the third parak, which is called Arba Nedarim. Don't confuse it. It's not the fourth parak. It opens up with Arba Nedarim, but it's actually the third parak. Arba Nedarim Hitiru Chachamim. There are 4 categories of Nedarim which do not require Hataras Chacham. They're Mutar Me'aleim. Nidrei Zerizin. A person takes a neder for the express purpose of being Nezaris is Chaver. Shalo Yamod B'daito. In other words, he never really had kavanah to take the neder. He was just trying to be Nezaris his Chaver. If you don't understand what I'm telling you, then I'm going to put a neder on you. But he never really meant to put a neder on you. And Nidrei Zerizin is going to be a sugya. Nidrei Avad. A man just exaggerates. Like he says, for example, all these payrolls should be a lie, asur b'neder, on condition in Lora isi kiyotze Mitzrayim. Now, for sure, he's not going to see Shisha Ribui B'nei Adam. So the peiros are not also. Why? Because it's the derech b'nei adam to speak in a guzma. Okay, again, we're going to have to go through this as we go through the sugyas. Nidre shkagos means he had a mistake when he took the neder. Like he says, kona and peris alive. And he adds a condition in machalti. And at that time, he thought that he didn't eat. And therefore, there was no kiyum tanai in his mind. He never really wanted to kona on these peros. Then he remembers, oh no, I ate already. So that's called a shogeg. Or you could have a shogeg in the kiyum tanai. Like he says, konam kikir zel layim ochal ayom. And then he eats when he forgets his neder. So these are all nidrei shkagos and they're mutarim. So again, either because he exaggerated or because he only did it to be mizari somebody, or in this case, he mistakenly forgot about something. And then finally, we have nidrei onsin, that he was in a situation of onus. For example, a man asks his friend, please invite me to eat in your house. And in order to strengthen and give a little extra punch to this invitation, he, the one who's invited, asks from the one who gives the invitation that he should take a neder. What kind of neder? Im lo yochal etzlo, if he doesn't eat in his house, yeyoser hamazmin es nechosam, yasor hamazmin es nechosam al hamuzman. Now imagine that the muzman is in a situation of onus. He can't come to the Suda. He got sick, he's contracted COVID, or the bridge broke down. And the Masman said to him, if you don't come to my meal, then you won't be able to have any anof for my nechasim. But here, he really wanted to come to the meal, but there were mitigating circumstances beyond his control. And in such a case, Nidrei onsim are not chal, they don't need a hator. Nidrei zeres in Ketzad. Now the Mishnah gets into more detail. What would be a case of Nidrei zeres in? He was selling an item to his friend, the Omar, and the seller says to the buyer, Konam she'eni pochis l'cha min hasela. I'm going to accept upon myself a carbon with regard to the Dmei HaMekach if I take from you less than a seller, which is 4 dinrim. So a seller is 4 dinrim. So the mocher is not in agreement to sell the Mekach for less than 4 seller. So in order to strengthen that and notify the buyer that, listen, man, I'm not selling it to you for less than 4 dinrim. So he was Mizari's the Lokeach, and he told them that there's going to be an Iser at Alatzmo Bekonam as far as the Tmei HaMekach if I'll sell it less than. Now, the Mishnah goes on to say it could be the reverse, that the Lokeach took the neder. Allah, the Lokeach Omer, he says to the Mocher, Konam, I accept upon myself an Iser Kekarbon on this Mekach. I'm not going to buy it for you. Sheni Mosef L'Chal HaShekel. Shekel is only 2 dinrim. I'm not going to pay more than 2 dinrim. So the Mocher says, I don't want to pay less than 4 dinrim. And the Lokeach says, I don't want to pay more than 2 dinrim. In either of those cases, it's called Nidrei Zeres and She'eno Mosef L'Chal HaShekel. In other words, Lokeach doesn't agree to pay more than 2 dinrim. So to be Mizari is the Mocher that he should agree to a sale at 2 dinrim. Asar al Atzno B'Konam es HaMekach. Im Yishalim Yosef Mishekel. So the Mishnah is coming to teach us that whether or not you're talking about the neder of the Mocher or the neder of the Lokeach, the neder is not chal. And even if at the end of the day they finally come to some emek hashava, to some compromise, and the sale goes through on, let's say, more than a shekel or less than a selah, Nevertheless, there's no Isa Neder. The Neder is not Chal because the Neder was only taken as Nidre Zerevin. And finally, to finish the Mishnah here on Daf Chof Aleph Amud Aleph, Shneim Rotzim V'Shlosha Dinim. Since we assume that the Mocher and Lokeh came to some compromise and they want the Mecca to be Chal at 3 dinrim, so when the Mocher took a Neder to prohibit himself from any benefit from the Dmei Mekach if he sells it for less than a seller 4 dinrim, or the Lokeh took a Neder to prohibit himself from the Mekach if he'll pay more than a shekel, which is 2 dinrim, they didn't have real kavanah. This was all part of a process, Lazari Zeh, to try to impress on the other one, change your mind, come to some sort of compromise. And since neither of them had kavanah for a serious neder, the neder is not chal. Okay then, so this is where we're going to stop here on the top of Daf Chof Aleph, Amud Aleph. Wishing you a great day and see you, Mitzvah Shem, tomorrow.